T.J. Otzelberger himself could walk through that door and try to convince me Iowa State's not winning a national title this year, and I wouldn't buy it, man. Iowa State basketball is so good right now.
You are Locked On Cyclones, your daily podcast on the Iowa State Cyclones, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Cyclones, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, now the #1 sports podcast network. I'm your host, Nick Maravich. Thank you for making this your first watch or listen of the day. I appreciate it more than you know. Be sure to hit subscribe down below so we can prove once and for all that it is, in fact, a Cyclone state. I'm fired up today because Iowa State basketball is still undefeated. So we're going to talk about it all day, all episode long. First, we're going to kind of recap what they've been through at the Players Era Tournament. Then we're going to take a deeper dive in the second segment into what this team is composed of. What are we actually working with as far as players and roles that they have assumed so far this season? And then finally, Otzelberger hit 100 career wins at Iowa State, so we're going to kind of take a look at what he's done and what it could be and what this season could be for Iowa State. I can't wait to dive into all that and more, but first, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Iowa State just defeated Creighton 78-60. That was electric. That was a fun one. All right. Not quite 20-point victory, but Iowa State never was down in this game, and it never felt like they were going to fall behind in this game. Against St. John's the day prior, okay, Iowa State won 83-82 on Monday. Big victory over this St. John's Red Storm team. And both games kind of went a little bit differently, but Iowa State still, 78 points, 83 points, not having a lot of trouble getting the ball through the hoop, definitely scoring a fair amount of points, obviously held Creighton to 60, and we'll talk about that defense here in a second, but we're going to start with St. John's, 82 points given up to the Red Storm here, number 14 right now, as of right now, at least ranked. Boy, oh boy, was this a fun one. Obviously, the unfortunate news that we should probably talk about first, Tamin Lipsey, lower body injury day to day. Look, my take on this is, especially after watching the Creighton game, let's just let him get back at his own speed, okay? And I don't want that to be like we don't want him to play type of deal. I don't want that. I want to be very clear. I want him on the court. But because I want him on the court, I don't want him to rush back, right? I want him to feel ready to come back and to feel 100% to prevent a later injury. It was mentioned on the broadcast during the Creighton game that this is a different injury than what he had sustained last season. It does look to me like it's a groin just by the way that he grabbed his leg. I don't know for sure if that's the case or not. Well, I guess we're going to have to see, but I don't want him to rush his way back. That's my take on Tamin Lipsey right now. And we'll get to that more in the second segment because of how good this team is. But I wanted to start there with the St. John's game because that was kind of the biggest story. Other than that, your leading scorer, as kind of we've not assumed, but definitely hoped would be this season, Milan Momcilovic comes away with 23 points, 8 of 13 from the field goal or from the floor, and 5 of 9 from beyond the arc. Also hit both of his free throws. Huge day for Milan. Joshua Jefferson was 17. He went 6 of 8 from the line and had 2 with, I think it was like 8 seconds left or whatever it was to really ice the game. St. John's final shot didn't go the way that they probably had hoped, but it doesn't matter, because it would have only been to tie. They ended up coming up short. Literally hits the front iron. They did end up covering, which if anybody cares about that, but I don't, honestly. Victory is a victory, even though in this Players Era Tournament, there is like the margin of victory and all of that. As far as the Red Storm goes, it kind of really, for me, it was Ejiofor was the biggest threat to Iowa State, but Sellers ends up with 20 points himself, and then 16 from Ejiofor and 16 from Hopkins. They also had Dylan Mitchell off the bench, contributed 12 points. Iowa State gave up 19 points off the bench of the 82 to St. John's. This game, I really just thought Iowa State was really capable of, like, they showed that they're capable of keeping pace, being aggressive. They had a ridiculous number they had 11 turnovers to St. John's 10. It felt like they were just all over on the floor. Rebounding wise, there was definitely a time where it felt like St. John's was out rebounding Iowa State, but it ended up being that Iowa State out rebounded them by 2. I'm trying to do this quick math here, but it's 17 offensive, 21 defensive for Iowa State, which comes to 38 to 36 was the final count between the two teams. Iowa State played extremely well. I think St. John's is a good team. This one could have probably gone either way, the way that it went down the stretch. But I don't have for all day to really talk about this game. Maybe we could revisit it because we do have to pivot towards Creighton. Iowa State, an 18, almost a 20-point victory over the Blue Jays. Everybody remembers Creighton beat Iowa State not that long ago in what was supposed to, or has previously been a secret scrimmage, but now Iowa State played them kind of in front of a whole crowd. It was a whole thing. And I don't know how else to put this. Iowa State really showed who was the better team today, or at least today who was the better team. Does that make sense? Maybe tomorrow Creighton's the better team, but Iowa State said, yeah, well, how that exhibition game went, it's not the story of this tale. We're going to go ahead and flip back to page 1, rewrite this entire thing, leave a big old T.J. Otzelberger signature at the end of it, and hand it out to every Iowa State fan. They're going to be thrilled with this one. Iowa State now 6-0 on the season. Obviously no Lipsy in this one, and that's not a problem for me. Toure stepped up big time, had 20 points in this one, played phenomenally. Joshua Jefferson had 18. Milan Momcilovic was in foul trouble practically the entire game, still came away with 10 points, shot 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. Blake Buchanan, we will talk about him at length in the second segment, contributed 12 of his own. Only 10 points coming off the bench, 4 from Plata, 6 from Nelson. Nelson really did play quite well. Bateman and Mulder, neither of them contributed, but Mulder only played 1 minute, and Bateman was more of a rebound guy, had 1 defensive rebound. Did shoot 5 times, just didn't put any in the hoop. Early on in this game, Iowa State wasn't able to put really anything into the hoop. They were dominant defensively, though. I think 3 of the first 4 possessions for Creighton went down under 3 seconds on the shot clock. It was ridiculous. They were smothering them, and they had a few shot clock violations as well. Iowa State, if they can hold up that defensive integrity all season long, they're going to go extremely far, especially with what we've seen them be able to do on the offensive side of the ball. Like, this is ridiculous. There's no real way to put it other than, like, they are playing so well right now. And maybe it's just that Creighton didn't come into this game ready, or they expected to play better because obviously no Taman again for Iowa State. They are maybe expecting kind of the same thing they saw on their home court. It didn't work out that way. I don't know what it was, but Iowa State was the better team 99.9% of the time today against Creighton, or yesterday, I guess, against Creighton. Like, phenomenal work. I mean, 10 out of 10, maybe 1 note. Genuinely unbelievable. Obviously, the Milan Momcilovic foul trouble situation was one thing. But other than that, I mean, Blake had 3, but everybody else either had 1 or 0. So very solid defense, not giving up a lot of fouls. Iowa State, and I guess I didn't even talk about this in the St. John's game, extremely physical game. So Iowa State is okay with being physical, and I think that they did it. They just didn't incur as many fouls against Creighton. Iowa State now 6-0 on the season, playing so well. Like, I talked about this, kind of before. I think that this team has every capability to go very, very far as they are right now. Now, obviously, need to stay healthy. Jefferson was kind of doing a little limping thing, kind of left, ended up coming back, which was really good in this game against Creighton. Obviously, Lipsy and what he's going through. If you're going to play extremely aggressively, if you're going to play with a ridiculous intensity, it just means you're going to probably be a little bit more likely to, kind of get banged up, I guess, is one nice way of putting it. But that's Iowa State's identity. And at some point, it's a trade-off, right? And so I hope that we're able to hold everything together. I don't want the wheels to come falling off this early on in the season. That would be ridiculous, especially after what we went through with football, and then last season's basketball, and then last season's football. That would basically be kind of like 4 straight seasons That's kind of my main concern right now. It's not even really anything on the floor, offensive, defensive, pressure, shooting, yada, yada, yada. My main concern, literally number one, is keeping everyone healthy, because this team right now is playing ridiculously well. And we're going to go through every single player and like kind of the massive role that they've had and how well this team has been playing in the roles that they've assumed so far. It's coming up right here after this. But first, we got to talk about FanDuel, the official sponsor of today's show. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you just want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. I picked out this segment, the second segment today here at Locked On Cyclones, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, now the number one sports podcast network, for one reason. I'm going to be completely honest. It does say no Taman, no problem on the sidebar here, but we're not really breaking down Taman today. I wanted to talk first and foremost about Blake Buchanan. This guy has assumed the Iowa State identity maybe better than anyone I have ever seen. It is hard to find really like this kind of adoption of a culture the way that Blake Buchanan has with Iowa State basketball, because it's not going to show up on the stat sheet nearly as much as it should. Otzelberger. Blake Buchanan against Creighton had 12 points in 31 minutes, shot 6 of 11, missed a free throw. He had 9 rebounds, 2 steals and a block. Like, yeah, it's a good stat line, but it doesn't show to the extent of, what he was doing against St. John's. 22 minutes, 7 points, 2 of 3 from the floor, 3 of 4 from the line, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Like, they're good stat lines. They are not what is happening, to be clear. When you watch the game, Blake Buchanan is, and I don't know, maybe this is going to be offensive, but it has to be said. He's like pulling off Taman plays. He is diving on the floor. He's like jumping across. It's obviously not this, but from the 3-point line into the paint to make offensive and defensive rebounds. The guy is flying around, put back dunks, dunking over people. I seriously think he thought he was Ja Morant in the Creighton game. I couldn't believe he went for the dunk. He jumped from so far out into a Creighton body and still tried to just slam a jam on his. I seriously thought he would go into some sort of jelly, some sort of fake. No, maybe a dish. No, the man, he's a dog. It's as simple as that. He's got that dog in him. And I saw a few tweets that were like, Iowa State would win go to the Final Four with Blake Buchanan last year. Maybe so. We'll never know. But Iowa State is better with Blake Buchanan on their team. Like, don't get it twisted. He is phenomenal, not only as a player, but as a fit for Iowa State. And that was honestly maybe what was getting me the most fired up watching this Creighton game. Okay, we'll get to Milan, we'll get to Jefferson, we'll get to Heisey, Toure, all those guys in a second. Blake Buchanan is an Iowa State Cyclone. That was a performance. And I think that cemented it for me. That was so much fun to watch. Huge shout out to Blake Buchanan. A couple other guys we're going to break down here. Joshua Jefferson still has that ridiculous vision. A couple of passes, not only in this Creighton game, but also in the St. John's game, that I was just kind of amazed by. I couldn't believe he was whipping the ball around like that. He's still putting up points as well. Obviously, 18 points against Creighton. It really felt like he kind of took over and made it like, I'm going to really make my mark here in this Creighton game. Against St. John's, he had 17, as I mentioned. So right around that same mark. Had a moment where he shot from like the logo against Creighton. Just it really kind of just felt like hey, I'm going to remind you guys who I am really quick. I couldn't believe he shot it. And then he swished it. And I was like, whoa, that was a moment. Like, he really he told Creighton, don't forget. Like there is an element of that in that shot. So Joshua Jefferson, still that big time leader for Iowa State, knocking down that three was big. Obviously, went 1 of 3 from beyond the arc, so that was his sole 3-pointer for the day. But definitely a force on the Iowa State team. Rebounded like crazy. He ended up with 10 rebounds against Creighton. It really kind of showed his dominance in the paint. Milan Momcilovic really kind of becoming that scorer for Iowa State. And yeah, he only had 10 points against Creighton, but he only played 25 minutes. Like he didn't play a whole lot. And when he did get out there, he made his mark. He ended up obviously 3 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and 10 points. Like the dude came out to play. 3 defensive rebounds of those. Where is it at? I just saw it. Oh, yeah, 3 defensive rebounds, no offensive. So look, Milan, obviously in this game against Creighton, did not light up the scoreboard, but went 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. I thought he might shoot it again at the end of the game just to try to get that 20-point victory for Iowa State. He's that guy. He's shooting very, very well right now, and I think Iowa State's very capable of leaning on him when they kind of need some points, but they don't absolutely force it, if that makes sense. They're definitely not like, we need 80 points from you every single night, to Milan. That's not the case. Iowa State was obviously able to distribute kind of the workload against Creighton, which was really what I wanted to see. What would they do without Taman? How would they go about rotations? How would they go about who's going to score the points and whatnot? Milan didn't play a whole lot because he was in foul trouble a lot, but certainly still made his mark. Killyan Toure, I don't know how to put this because I don't know if there's words strong enough. Kind of the same thing as like Blake Buchanan. He plays with so much energy and heart and physicality and just need. It's ridiculous. He flies around. And he's obviously making impressive plays. And it's just, he's an Iowa State Cyclone. It's what it is. And he's going to be a problem for a long time in the Cardinal and Gold. I couldn't be more excited about the future of Killyan Toure. We are 6 games into the Killyan Toure experience. Okay. This is the very beginning. We're barely off of the first page of this book. Okay. And he's already putting up 20-point victories over Creighton, 8 of 14, shot a 3, missed 2 more, 3 of 4 from the line, 4 rebounds. Like the dude was flying around. He plays with an intensity. He only had 1 block. Yeah. Oh, he only had 1 block. He flew through the air and just swatted that ball. I mean, it was ridiculous. The guy, it's like lightning in a bottle. It's crazy. Huge fan of Killyan Toure. Nate Heisey, not really becoming the guy that I think we thought he could, but because I don't think he needs to. I think he's assumed this kind of not backseat driver role, but certainly someone who's in the car making decisions. Maybe he's the guy running the Spotify playlist. He's kind of keeping the vibes up. A glue guy, if you will, had 8 points. Didn't shoot like very poorly. He went 2 of 3 from the floor, 1 of 2 from beyond the arc, had 3 free throws. He's a high effort guy. He's going to dish the ball out. He had 6 assists, was the leading assist guy in this game, aside from Josh Dix from Creighton, who also had 6. Look, phenomenal player. He's probably not going to give you 25 a night. Probably not even going to give you 15 or 20 a night, honestly. He can go for that many points if the opportunity presents itself. He's just not forced to. And he doesn't need, like, he's totally cool with not doing that. He's a high effort guy. I say 4 defensive rebounds, 1 offensive rebound. Played very well. Had 3 steals. He's that guy. Plata, I'm very curious to see where Plata assumes his role, because he comes in for short stints and really makes a quick impact. But I'm just not exactly sure where Plata is yet. I think if we can get him worked into the system, he can become a real force for Iowa State. Nelson came in, had a ridiculous and one. My one thing with Nelson so far is that he is, out of everyone on the team, probably the most out of control, which is in some ways maybe a good thing, right? Like thinking of that Looney Tunes guy who's like the Cyclone. Actually, it's like a perfect analogy. Gosh, I know him. I just can't think of his name. That's going to bug me. So comment it down below. I can't think of, but he's just a little out of control, but it's definitely not too crazy. Didn't have any, or had 1 turnover in this game out of 14 minutes in the Creighton game. just got a little out of control, but I don't hate it. Sometimes you need that kind of energy. And Bateman, I think Bateman can really step into a bigger role. Not like we're not going to force him out there for 40 minutes, but I think you could definitely see him creep his minutes up to 20 or 25 minutes, and we're going to start to see this kind of even keel, even split of minutes across the entire team, where he assumes on, maybe he's not scoring 18 points, but maybe more of a Nate Heise type of role. He ended up with the exact same number of shots as Nate Heise. He just didn't put them in the bucket, and he didn't have as many free throws. He didn't shoot any. So, look, across the board, this team is gelling so well. They're playing with so much energy, so much enthusiasm, so much togetherness. Like, even without Tamin Lipsey on the floor, this team is extremely impressive. And TJ Otz was able to go from 100 to 101 wins in a dominant fashion over Creighton. We need to take a look at what TJ Otzelberger has done. This is not going to be boring. Don't go anywhere. It's coming right here after this. First, we got to talk about game time because college football is back, and I could not be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there really is just nothing like it. But let's be real, actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I pulled up Game Time in just a couple taps. I saw some absolutely amazing deals. My favorite feature by far is the fact that I can see the view from my seat before I buy it. I don't do so well with the maps. I just want to know exactly what I'm going to be seeing when I take my seat. It's faster, it's cheaper, it's less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Iowa State is winning more and more and more. It's ridiculous how much Iowa State is winning. And it's only been on the way up, really, since T.J. Otzelberger took over here at Iowa State, or I guess over there at Iowa State, rather. You're talking about it here at Locked On Cyclones, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, the number one sports podcast network. I don't know how else to, TJ. This is like the tightest shirt I have. And now I have nowhere near the guns of TJ Otzelberger, but I wore the tightest shirt I have to celebrate TJ Otzelberger today because he did overcome the 100-win mark against St. John's. He now has 101 wins with the win over Creighton. He's dominating, and he's taken Iowa State to heights that I don't know. I mean, everybody knew they were capable of it, but man, he's on a dominant run right now. And to start the 25-6 season, like, we're in the same boat. As far as his last few years, just a quick recap. Sweet 16 appearance in his first season, 22-13, 19-14 his second season, made the tournament, 29-8 his third season, Sweet 16 appearance. Obviously, that was the year that they were the conference tournament champions. Last season, 25-10, ended up falling in the round of 32. But that was an injury situation, if you ask me. And then Iowa State this season so far, 6-0. I mean, the man is on a mission to turn Iowa State into a national title contender. And honestly, I don't know if I felt this way as strongly last season. I know I obviously every season, and I think you can probably pick this out. It doesn't really take a genius to figure out that most of the time at the beginning of the season, I'm just automatically assuming Iowa State's going to win national title, be it football, basketball, even baseball. And we know where the baseball program is at. Like, that's just kind of the person that I am. But this season feels different for this basketball team. Like, this team, the team that it's kind of like the house that Otz built. Like, the way that he has constructed this team, and he's curated not only the guys through the transfer portal, right? Like, Blake Buchanan is a huge addition. Obviously, Heise from UNI, Jefferson comes through the portal. Like, those additions, Otzelberger is doing very, very well with. But just also retaining the guys as well. Like I mentioned, Jefferson and Heise, they weren't add-ons this season, right? Like, Jefferson, Momcilovic, Heise, Kelderman, and Lipsey kind of were the five returners for this team. And the way that Otzelberger has not only kept those players, but has instilled this concept of like who Iowa State is, this element of identity. It's special. Like it really is. And I think, like I was kind of talking about, and then I kind of got off on a tangent. Like, I genuinely think Iowa State is a national title contender this season. Like, from what I've seen so far. Now, we have a long season ahead of us. We have a lot of games. All right. But right now, they are absolutely a title contender. Sometimes you just need the ball to bounce your way a little bit, but I don't feel like Iowa State is a ridiculous number of ball bounces their way away from winning a title. Like, they are a good enough team right now I think they're absolutely a Final Four team. They are one of the best teams in the country. And not only is that because of the players on the floor, but the coach who's teaching them everything or putting them in the positions or drawing up plays on the side, whatever. Coaches do a lot of different things. But the biggest thing that Otzelberger has kind of done that I am taking away and really giving him a lot of credit for is the defensive identity of Iowa State, the identity of the amount of energy that they go into every game with. You don't coach effort. And so that's why I'm giving Otz credit for the kind of guys he's bringing in. Same thing with like the football side of OKG, our kind of guy. Otzelberger's bringing in the right guys who play with a ridiculous amount of effort and want or need to be successful. Excuse me, man, what is going on? Need to be successful. But the way that he has basically made Iowa State this force defensively where, I mean, they against Creighton was like one of the best examples, maybe in his career at Iowa State, Otzelberger's career at Iowa State. If you have a better game, let me know. I would actually genuinely love to watch it because against Creighton, the way that it started out with the shot clock violations and running it down to nothing and heaving up shots. And yeah, it did end up letting off a little bit midway through the game, but Iowa State smothered Creighton basically the entire time. It was dominant and it was fun to watch. And that's what Iowa State has kind of been for a while. I remember the 2-22 season. I remember being over in Willow and like, you want to go watch the basketball game? Not really. No, I don't really want to. Now, like, there is no reason to say no. The Otzelberger has turned this program into must-watch television or must be at Hilton type of basketball consistently. And it's at this point where we've gotten to this point of like, it just feels like the norm. That's what this is now. That's who Iowa State is. Now, we're not obviously taking Iowa State from the depths of nothingness, right? We're not taking Iowa State. It's not like football where Iowa State hasn't really been a whole lot. Now they're turning into this like relevant on the scene type of thing. That's not really basketball, but we have certainly pulled it from like struggling to we're not in like the Big 12 conversation, which the Big 12 is the best conference. So obviously if you're in the Big 12 conversation, you're in the national conversation, but we're not like middle of the pack Big 12. Like we're not a good team in the Big 12. We are one of the best teams in the country. And it's amazing to me that that Iowa State doesn't get more national media coverage for basketball. I don't know how, because they are legit, like consistently. They're not obviously, back to back national titles that good, but they're getting there. And I think Otzelberger is absolutely taking this program in that direction. We talked about, Otzelberger and Campbell a lot last season. Both received contract extensions, rightfully so. I can't tell you how lucky Iowa State is to have these particular coaches, not only from the success that Iowa State, and you know this. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I'm just reiterating. Like, the success that they have brought their respective programs is remarkable. But at the same time, the way that they're doing it, if you haven't seen it, go on, I think Twitter, probably Instagram has it as well. The tribute video of Otzelberger for 100 wins. Look at how he connects with his players. There's tons of videos of him after the win over St. John's. There's tons of actually, I was amazed. It made me want to get into a locker room. Like that type of culture is very special. And that's just something that, like, I talked about, I think it was yesterday. I said, like, you don't miss the game as much as you miss the locker room. You miss those kinds of coaches like Otzelberger, and the program he's creating at Iowa State is extremely, extremely special. Speaking of Twitter, I'll be talking about, obviously, Iowa State will play yet again in this Players Era tournament. We'll see who it'll be. I'll talk about it on there at Nick_Marv. But man, what a season Iowa State is having to start 6-0. Huge wins over Creighton and St. John's. An exciting time to be a Cyclone. I cannot wait to watch every game that this Iowa State Cyclones men's basketball team plays. But they're obviously not the only one. Like, we've still got football. We got women's basketball. There's a lot of other Cyclone sports going on. But, man, they are balling right now. So much fun. Let me know what you've thought so far of their season in the comments down below, or at Nick_Marv. Hit subscribe. It's completely free. Yeah, that's all I got. Until next time, Cyclone fans, sayonara.